What is up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima. I want to talk about a couple games today, namely because, well, I'm behind on reviews, and it seems like it's easier to put these two together, not because they're anywhere related, it's just that I'm not sure either one of these could hold a full episode. Now, it's not a knock against the games, it's just more like the style of games that they are, and how both of them tell a really simple story. So let's just get into it with Koa and the Five Pirates of Mara. Now, this is a game that, I gotta be honest, it kind of broke my heart. Now, it's not an indictment of the game, but more so my ability to choose which game I should play, as I saw this game, and of course, like the genius I am, did not read into the bio of the game, didn't look for reviews or anything, just saw the cover art, saw some pictures, and I was like, okay, I'm buying that. And I went into it thinking it was like a 3D platformer, and the entire time I played it, I felt like, God, why couldn't this be a 3D platformer? Yes, there are 3D platforming aspects about it, but namely, this game is a speedrunner. And really what qualifies it as a speedrunner for me is the fact that all the levels are short and you are timed on completion. Also, I don't think there's another place this game can go because it doesn't have a lot of puzzles and there are no enemies, so there's no combat. So essentially, that's all it can be. This game follows a cute little story where you play Koa, and she has this amazing ability to basically get along with every creature of the sea and different spirits, as she lives in this fantastical land where she is frenemies with some pirates. Now, they ended up ransacking the island that she lives on and stealing pretty much everything that wasn't nailed down. Now, as one can guess, the islanders were not happy about this. The economy of the island took a massive hit, all the tourists went away, there was no commerce to even be spoken of because, well, they didn't have anything. Being the good egg that Koa is, she agrees to compete in their little competition. Now see, this whole thing is if she goes from island to island collecting map pieces, she will then eventually get to the massive treasure, which is, well, pretty much everything that was on this island. But as I said before, they're frenemies, so they all get along, and ultimately some of them end up opening up shops, you're able to race one of them, and this really does open up more of the game as you start traveling to different islands, of course running into different bosses, collecting different items that you can then return back to the island and spend your money and also upgrade the island. And that is kind of a cool aspect of this game that I actually started to really enjoy. But honestly, a very big missed opportunity for me anyway is the fact that the currency in this game isn't something that's that relevant. See, to unlock new upgrades or add-ons to the island or different skins, whatever, you actually have to find hidden items. So this makes you redo levels maybe 3, 4, 5 times, and the levels themselves just really aren't that compelling. I would have much preferred them have it set on a completion. You know, you get so far, you unlock so much, then you use your shells or the currency of the game, instead of pretty much everything being locked by how many special items you collected. So how does the game run? Because that's really important in these type of games. Well, it runs great, honestly, and the control's pretty decent. She has this roll jump move that pretty much slingshots her into the air, and I can see a lot of people becoming pretty proficient with moving at a quick pace with her. Now, I will say that even though some of that controls well, she kind of doesn't stop on a dime, and I don't know if that's the way the game was meant to control, honestly. Like, it seems to fit that narrative. One of the things with her is she has this, like, cutesy little skipping animation. Like, that's pretty much how she moves around. And as endearing as I think the programmers may have thought it was, it's not as endearing as it is just kind of awkward and feels kind of weird. But to be honest, I'm probably not the best person to review this game, because if it's not neon white, I don't like speedrunners. For the most part, yeah, there's some that are better. I get it. Neon white isn't the be-all and all, but I don't really typically go for this type of game, not to mention the fact that in a way, this game kind of felt like an experiment or a kid's game, meaning I don't think there's a lot of speedrunners who'd be satisfied with the difficulty of the game, and yet I could see a lot of kids passing up on it later on because they simply just got tired of looking for all these hidden items to unlock more stuff in the game. And all this is paired with the fact that it's pretty expensive for what could easily be maybe a 2 or 3 hour game, and not offering much more than that, as this game does sit at around $20. So with that being said, I think that Koa is a good game to pick up if it's on sale. A nice little game that you could pick up for your kid for maybe in that $7 to $10 range. I think that would be a good spot for it. But if you're looking for something with a lot more depth, I just don't believe it's here. So if I was to give it a number score, I would give it a 5 out of 10. So that takes us to the next game. You know what type of game I've been looking for a while? A surgery simulator. But not like the surgeon simulator, because that game kind of sucks and doesn't control easily. It's kind of for the lulz. No, I mean like a legitimate surgeon simulator / hospital manager. It doesn't even have to have the hospital management aspect, as much as just a cool game about having to save lives. Something like, I don't know if anyone remembers, but Trauma Center? That game was awesome. But honestly, I haven't seen that game since, well, the Wii, I believe. So when I saw Operate Now Hospital, I knew I had to at least check it out, because this game looked like This War of Mine mixed with like, a surgery simulator. And god damn it, this game was so close. Like, this game was really close to actually being good, but it then turns into the other aspect. This is a phone game, and instead of even being able to buy your way out of like time sinks, there's no ability to do that, so you just have to wait for things to happen. And the surgeries become really repetitive really quickly, which I get that. If you're a surgeon, I've heard they do become really repetitive, which is fine. And to be honest, this game gets so close on some really interesting aspects, some story aspects, some character building. Like, there's some stuff here that just gets completely covered because of the phone crap. Like, if they could just throw that away and say, no, we're not dealing with that, you just play the game normally, I think this game would be pretty decent, especially for the price. But yeah, for the most part, you're looking at a screen like you would in This War of Mine, kind of, a management sim, if you will. And at times you're called in for certain aspects of the game. Like, there's missions you gotta do, which would involve surgeries, or even just scheduling a doctor, a nurse, or a paramedic to a certain task, where they will be busy doing that for a while. And then this is where the game really just takes a giant dump. Is then your biggest issue is actually just getting more doctors and getting more nurses. And guess what? They only come out through, drops. You have to pay for these drops. And, oh wow, you earned another doctor and they suck. It's that same aspect that we see in a lot of sports games and stuff like that, where it just becomes a money sink. And yet you can't even spend money on it. So even if you wanted to really get into it, you can't. And there lies the problem of this game, is not only is it just like a money trap, it's also ineffective at being a money trap. They could have rerouted this, I think, and actually made it fun, or fun-ish. Not something I would say, oh, this is a 9 out of 10, it's a great game, but for the value, it's a decent waste of your time. And as I said before, there's definitely something here. Somebody cared about this game at some point. You can really tell because of some of the story aspects of the game, and even the surgeries themselves are pretty fun, and you can have a point where, like, somebody will code and you have to do CPR, or you have to use the paddles on them. This gets kind of interesting and fun, but at the same time, it looks like it just got handed into the wrong publisher or something, because it's a cash grab, and it sucks because it's not even a good cash grab, and nobody went back over this game to make sure it was compatible with the Switch or something where you couldn't spend money. Not that I would advise spending money. I would give this a game even lower of a grade if that was the case. I'm just frustrated that they didn't in some ways fix it so it was at least more playable. Instead, you just have to play a little bit and then turn it off and come back in an hour or two to see some missions done, and to hope that maybe you could unlock a decent doctor, nurse, or somebody who can add to the hospital. Again, I think this game is so close, and it makes me even more angry. Like, I think I would be less frustrated if the game just sucked. But there's aspects of this game that I see working really well, but just not enough to overlook all of the negative, the incredible amounts of negative in this. And no, even if those things were fixed, this isn't a great game, but it's a good game, or it would be a good game. As it sits now, though, I have to give it a 4 out of 10, and that really hurts. I don't want to give it that low of a score, but it's just the fact that I didn't pay $10 to sit around and wait for a couple hours. You know what I mean? It's like paying for a free-to-play game and still having all of the negative aspects of it being a free-to-play game. So, unfortunately, I don't recommend any of these games this week, and that sucks. But, you know what, we got a whole bunch of reviews to look forward to. We got the sale video coming up. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and if my lazy ass could get to making more videos, well, we would have more content up. Yesterday, I was supposed to upload this video, and I slept for 14 hours somehow, which is insane. Like, I never do that. Anyway, guys, I love y'all. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.